Welcome to podcast 43. Yes, 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 maybe, but yes.
Going. Hello, welcome to podcast 43. I'm here with Fulton Collins, like always, but also a special guest, friend of the show, Olivia Weckerle.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
Thank you for coming on. Yeah. Well, without further ado, we're starting off spooky season with a very, very spooky movie, and that is Andrei Zulawski's 1981 film Possession, starring Isabella Gianni and Sam Neill. And we're just gonna start right off and talk about y'all's first reactions to this film. I've already seen it before. So what did you guys think about it? Olivia, you can go first since you're the guest.
Very kind. I guess it's one of those films that I'm still thinking about it afterwards a little too deeply, and maybe that's not healthy, but I think her performance is probably one of the best acting performances I've ever seen.
Yep, I would agree.
I very much agree, and I also agree with the statement that it lingers with you because there's quite a lot of very, very shocking imagery, and I'm honestly surprised that when people talk about like the famous, monster movies, that nobody seems to mention this one, or at least I don't know. I haven't ever heard anybody mention the monster design of this movie, which like the production design of the movie is fantastic because and the locations of this movie are fantastic too. But I mean, oh my gosh, the way the thing looks, I can't do it really justice by talking about it. I definitely, say you should watch the film because it's so vile.
Are we able to spoil anything? Because I was going to say the way it looks, the way it fucks, it's just
Well,
you can.
We will definitely get into that territory. But I guess we'll kind of describe it to the uninitiated. Basically, this film is about the breakdown of a relationship between Sam Neill and Isabella Gianni's character. And it's also modeled after director Andrei Zulawski's ex-wife and their kind of marriage and relationship.
Oh, God.
So
he never remarried. So that's another.
It's a very personal film, and that's why I think it's so effective, because it ties together all these emotions that the the director felt. I mean, you watch this and I think that you can only think that like this had to come from, you can't make some of this stuff up. Not that his wife was having sex with a disgusting blob of,
I don't know,
Kafka-esque.
I don't want to nix the idea too soon,
But so it's just kind of everything just seems very kind of off in this movie. Both of their performances are very, very strange, especially how they don't really make proper eye contact with each other. They're always giving this kind of like blank, like stare off into the distance. And there's a scene at the beginning where like Sam Neill is in like a rocking chair, and he's just going back as far as possible and like rocking back and forth. And it's just very, very unsettling, especially with how the camera is angled and how like his forehead is like almost like hitting the camera every single time.
Continue. Sorry.
Oh, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I love the camera work of this movie. And I think like it really does build a lot of atmosphere. And one of the like scenes that really sticks out to me is that beginning scene where I guess Sam Neill is talking to like a board of directors or just, I don't really know specifically what they are because the film doesn't go to great lengths to like explain like what business he's in. But you would think when kind of hearing the dialogue, it would be a pretty simple like reverse shot, but yet the camera swirls around them like multiple times and it feels very, very dizzying. And I was really trying hard to focus on the subtitles, but I kept getting really distracted.
Yeah,
by a lot of the camera work. What was that? Sorry.
Like, what a way to open up a movie
Oh,
with the
yeah.
chaotic. And I think they're like his higher ups. He's a
Mhm.
spy, a secret
Yeah, he's a
agent.
spy. Yeah.
Okay. Mhm.
And they live right next to the Berlin Wall on the West German side. I think that the fact that it's set on the East Berlin side of the Berlin or how it's set in East Germany is a very fitting kind of metaphor for their like relationship, kind of like this dividing wall between their marriage. I think it's a perfect setting for what the film is trying to get at thematically.
One's a communist, the other is democratic.
Yeah, that's right.
But in the beginning, how you were talking about they wouldn't even like look each other in the eyes and it was sort of blank stares. I at first thought their line delivery was super awkward, but it really worked to like create that, just how you said everything's off, like right off the bat.
Yeah.
Just uncomfortable.
Entirely. And how they have that whole exchange at the beginning where they're sitting at the cafe and they just won't look at each other, like they're sitting at opposite tables and she's facing.
There's also that mirror that kind
way.
of visually splits them up too, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, there were like multiple parts of the movie where maybe through a mirror they would shoot it and show that they were like separate. But she goes into that cafe and won't even sit across from him, and that whole scene just escalated so quickly, and it's like, is this really happening? Are they acting like this in public?
I thought it was very funny that don't get me wrong, he's definitely disturbing the peace in an insane way, but I thought it was really funny that 4 dudes toppled on top of him and created a little mountain to keep him down.
Yeah.
I thought that was very funny, and I couldn't tell if it was, I think in a sense it is trying to be over the top to a certain extent, because a lot of those emotions at the height of their like emotional relevance feel like the end of the world.
Well, so I think that to your point about how people don't really talk about this as like a really good kind of creature type monster movie is because there's a lot more to it than just that. And I think that a lot of people maybe want more escapism with these type of like monster movies, especially. And I don't want to deride the Universal monster movies of the 30s because I think that they are great. And I think
them a new one,
or the Dark Universe films. That's right. The Mummy with Tom Cruise. What a classic that is. But I
definitely agree that there is more to this movie. I just mean in terms of like overall design.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's a disservice to the production design and the costume design team that they don't get at least some credit. But continue. Sorry.
Oh, but the thing is I think just for a lot of the horror crowd, and I can kind of speak on this because I used to be just really into horror movies, is that like there's just I feel like there's a large subset that just want to see like just a lot of gore and like blood and guts, and it's just like, this is a movie that is about a breakdown of a relationship, and I mean I've not like and so that's something that everyone can relate to. I mean, not like getting a divorce and having a kid and stuff, but just kind of knowing that like something's off about like your significant other, and then just kind of as you grow apart, and then like the creature kind of representing the person that they moved on to with, or just
the
kind of
idealized version of their partner.
Yes, exactly. And then kind of the breakup involved, the break apart of the home, and how it's like I was trying to make sense of like the whole clone thing, and how it's like, especially with the ending, and how it's almost like to the child you have 2 separate versions of your parents that are now completely different. is kind of what I garnered from that. But I just think that recontextualizing a divorce with a body horror type theme is very, very effective as far as trying to articulate like what you emotionally feel at those points of your life. Sorry, Marriage Story, I love you, but you're nowhere near as good.
Bored.
I don't know.
Outside, he watches horror.
Oh yeah, so much. I mean, I still like horror movies. It's just, I just think that like horror movies there's a lot of horror that's just like really bad. And I remember just talking to a lot of people about it, and they would just talk about how much they liked the gore. And I was like, yeah, but like, don't you like want more from a movie? Like, is this all you want? Just red liquid everywhere?
This film has it.
It's got red.
It's got some gore.
It's got goop coming out of Isabella Johnny's ears.
Yeah, only some gore.
Some gore.
It's got fluids, that's for sure. But like, I kind of wanted to talk to you guys and bring up the usage of milk in this movie and kind of see what y'all's take was on that.
Well, Olivia had a pretty funny opinion.
Mm-hmm.
We were watching it yesterday. We're like in the scene. There's that iconic scene that I think a lot of people have seen, even that haven't seen this movie. But I'd say it's probably the thing that I've seen most in like clip compilations, or like when I first heard about this movie, is Isabella Johnny walking through a subway tunnel, and she's holding groceries in her hand, and she's just screaming as she's just knocking the groceries, including milk, into the wall as it just spills and creates a pool everywhere. And Olivia said yesterday, "This is disgusting." And that was the first time that she said anything about it being gross, was the fact that there's pools of milk on the floor.
And I'm not even lactose intolerant or anything. I just can't believe she was rolling around in that milk.
Especially on the subway.
I know, disgusting floor.
But then, I mean, it immediately gets topped, I think, in terms of it being disgusting, with all the oozing and the different colors of like of
coming out of her ears.
Yeah, like
unknown
red
fluids
and green and yeah, such a sick scene.
That was right after she was in a church staring at a sculpture of Jesus and just like whining. And
yeah,
I thought that was very interesting. I was assuming that were they trying to make her seem like a dog, because it seemed very like animalistic to me, to not use words to convey your emotions, but to just use like general like just like kind of like grunts and whines and like a mixture of the two to like emote sadness.
Yeah,
or I'm assuming that it was sadness.
and they brought that up.
Yeah.
Sam McNeil's character, about how he watched his dog die, and then also he was like saying to Isabel, if I like fall at your feet and whine like a dog, will you just step over me? She's like, yeah, I will.
Yeah. I was gonna say it did take Isabella Johnny, allegedly she said it took her years to recover from this performance. Like,
that's understandable. I mean, she has to go through great lengths as an actress to not only get those emotions down, but I can't imagine having to be on that set and being in her apartment and having to do some of the things that she has to do. I can't imagine that going away very easily.
Just screaming and convulsing. And
also,
I just said Sam McNeil.
Sam McNeil.
It's Sam
Neill.
Yeah,
my
Sam.
bad.
Fuck me.
And unfortunately too, when this film was released in America, they cut about 40 minutes from it So
God damn.
it really kind of
Censorship.
hurt the message of the film for a while until the uncut version came out later on. So
Mhm.
I'm
assuming it wasn't reviewed well in the
Yeah.
US then upon its initial.
Yeah, because it won big at like Cannes and stuff. Like Isabella Gianni won Best Actress, and it won a
Mhm.
Caesar Award, which is
The
pretty
Little
much the
Caesars.
the Little Caesar
Yeah.
Awards. She has unlimited calzones, crazy calzones.
Nice.
Yeah, but she won like an equivalent of like a French Oscar and for it, and they just totally screwed up the release year, so people didn't really get to experience the full film until a lot later,
Mhm.
unfortunately.
Shameful.
And now it's still difficult, at least for, well, if you want a physical release of it.
Yeah, the Blu-ray release is very hard.
Very sought after. A lot of money to get that thing.
This movie is kind of like she was fearless and crazier than him. She was his queen, and God help anyone who dared to disrespect his queen. The movie, when you think about it.
Should we talk about Henrik or
Heinrich?
Oh,
Heinrich's so cool.
dude.
What a force.
That one scene where him and Sam are talking and he's just flailing around and he's not staying still at all. I was really trying to understand that scene.
There were a lot of scenes like that where they just were like moving around and couldn't stay still and were like making crazy noises. And
Mhm. His was really, I mean, I know it's supposed to be odd, but I was really trying to figure it out. Because it's like it's shot in very or I think was it around Sam's apartment, I want to say, and in the hallway leading to
Sam
Sam's
Neill's apartment.
Yeah. I wanted to see what your guys' take was on I don't know specifically why he was flailing around like that. And there might not even be a reason, but I wanted to know what you guys thought about it.
I'm honestly at a loss why Heinrich acts so weird.
I mean, he steals the show sometimes.
He
with his acting.
Yeah, he really does a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know. Also, this movie was banned in the UK.
I'm not surprised. Was it a video nasty? Was it labeled?
I don't know.
That may have been after. I don't know. I'd have to look into it.
No, it was definitely after, because Driller Killer came out a few years before.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But I'm not sure, actually.
Mm-hmm.
However, Heinrich, played by Heinz Bennett, is just a very, very strange guy that thinks he's really cool because he's having an affair with Isabella Gianni.
Thinks he's cool?
Knows he's cool, and he is cool.
He only has one button, the lowest button on his shirt buttoned. That's all you need to understand his character.
He dresses like a male ballroom dancer, and when we saw the scene of him in the dance studio, I was like, I knew it. He's involved with dance somehow.
Oh, speaking of dance, what about that? There's that scene where, so he goes over to Sam Neill's character goes over to Heinrich's house, and they watch the film with Isabella Gianni teaching ballet class, and she just like grasps this girl and makes her like hold this pose, and it's just a very, very uncomfortable and assaulting scene as this girl just wails in pain as Isabella Gianni screams at her and forces her to hold this pose. So
the ballet position was an attitude, and that was probably the most disturbing part of the film for me personally. There are mean teachers like that. I've never been that terrorized, but that was just heartbreaking.
It was very sad. It was very sad.
What do you think, Fulton?
I thought it was very, very uncomfortable, and her reasoning is even more. You would think it would. I'm trying to remember specifically what she says, but she says something along the lines of like, well, I'm just trying to make her better. And it's like, well, that's not really a good reason to go about doing that to somebody. But I mean, there's a lot of the times where her character often says like, I don't feel anything. So it's not completely out of the realm for her to abuse other people around her. But yeah, that scene was, because the scene that immediately follows that one, that kind of like, it really like, I was really trying to understand it. And she's talking about the two sisters, or sisters of faith and sisters of chance.
Yes.
And I was really trying to understand that, because then there's a point later on in the film where are we okay to get into spoilers?
Yeah, let's dive into spoilers.
So the subway scene that Chris talked about earlier is actually a miscarriage, or at least that's how, I guess that is the miscarriage, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And so I don't remember which sister she says that it was. I think it was the sister.
Faith.
Okay, yeah, the sister of faith, that was her miscarriage. And then so the sister of chance is still alive, or I was trying to think, because I was like, at one point I thought, I was like, is the creature the sister of chance? I was like, did she give birth to that thing? And I was like, but that would be so fucked up, because then, she's having sex with it. So that also is another layer of it that I was trying to contemplate. And to be completely honest, I did not entirely understand the ending, and I'm still trying to like put it together in my head. But I don't know. I was trying to understand the sister thing.
Chris, since you've seen this multiple times, will you speak to that?
As far as the sister miscarriage scene,
mm-hmm.
I honestly don't really know. I think that it probably has something to do with another very kind of personal story with Zulowski and his wife. Mm-hmm. I haven't looked too much into it, but I could imagine that there was probably some personal aspect there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would just, because I think there's one line where she refers to the sister of chance still being alive, and I was trying to figure out what that was, and maybe that is Bob, but then why would he call it a sister?
Bob is,
I don't know.
Bob is interesting. Their son, or
mm-hmm.
Bob, their son Bob, is an interesting aspect of the film, because he's absent in most of it, and then he just kind of shows up probably like a handful of scenes, most of the time always with Sam Neill's character, Isabella Johnny, as Anna, not her doppelganger Helen, which is just that's probably something that we should probably explain too.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wanted to know, kind of talk to you guys about that. But I think you kind of briefly touched on it with the idea of there being two different versions of your
how
parents.
You like look at your parents, as you
mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So Isabella Johnny plays Anna, who's the original character, original copy, or
blue eyes, dark hair.
She has blue eyes, and then she also plays Helen, who has green eyes and is the is Anna's doppelganger, but she's also Bob's school teacher. And Sam Neill like has a thing for her because she looks like his wife. But my assumption is that, and then at the end of the film, you see the carbon copy of Sam Neill's character, Mark. And my assumption is that it's supposed to be the kind of the new version of yourself after a divorce or a relationship, because it changes yourself and it changes the dynamic of your family. So I think that's a pretty interesting like observation.
Mhm.
I don't know
Not to
if you
go
guys-
too much further down the rabbit hole, but that ending scene where you see the copy of Sam Neill's character, is that the first time you ever see the copy? Because I want to say I remember seeing him. Um, I'm trying to remember how he looked. Because in the beginning, after Sam Neill returns, he returns home and he has the big confrontation with his wife. There's a scene where, following that, he has a big beard and his suit is all gross and disgusting and it has stains all over it. And he asks how long he's been there, and someone says like 3 weeks. I'm trying to remember because his like attire really reminds me of how the copy looks. But I don't remember if he was missing the shirt or not, like he is in the ending.
I don't
So
I don't think the copy was when Anna is having sex with the monster creature, you
Mhm.
see like the human head begin to form on it of Sam
Mhm.
Neill. I
Mhm.
don't think
He was
the
present that early.
yeah, I think he was still
Mhm.
forming all the way later into the movie. And
Mhm.
that beginning where he looks really just, sweaty and super washed out, I think that's still Sam Neill, the
Mhm.
normal version. But back
Mhm.
to the thing about the sister of chance and the sister of faith, I think like also the miscarriage was just a miscarriage of faith. And like when you're getting a divorce, you're going against, like the religion you follow, and because you're not
Mhm.
supposed to get divorced. And I didn't even think of it as like an actual maybe child.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
No, that is a very good way to look at it. I hadn't thought about it as reading it that literally, but it really does make sense. And it even, I mean, the scene that precedes that one where she is contemplating her faith, I think that would even, strongly support that idea.
Mhm.
Yes, entirely.
Mm.
Well, I don't know if I really have any other observations to give. I don't know if y'all have any others.
I loved it. It was incredible. I said in my review, marriage is scary. It's true. How
Mhm.
using like this just visually horrifying movie as an allegory for divorce is quite impressive, and I'm so impressed with this director. And this is the first film I've watched by him, and I absolutely want to watch more.
Mhm.
Yeah, Polish cinema is a real gold mine that I've discovered in the past year or so. I would I would recommend. I mean, I don't know if you've seen any Krzysztof Kieślowski, but he's definitely one that I would constantly tell people to watch, especially his Three Colors trilogy and Double Life of Veronique, especially Double Life of Veronique, which we did cover a year ago
Yeah,
on
really
this
early on.
podcast. Yeah.
It was like our second or third movie or something.
But
I also highly recommend it. I don't think I'm completely sold on it yet, but it definitely is leaving me with the feeling that I really want to return to it, which is also a very good thing to have after finishing a movie. I know that might sound kind of weird because it's a sad movie, but yeah, no, I definitely want to like further try to understand it.
Also, I didn't know Isabelle Gianni has a child with Daniel Day-Lewis.
oh yeah, that's
wow.
right. Yeah.
Shit! My
When's he
God.
gonna start acting?
What a gorgeous human being, probably.
You mean that she could be like the best actor ever?
Right?
two of those people coming together making a kid. Yeah.
Honestly, how ironic if the child is just completely untalented and everything.
Well, I guess that's all. I will.
That's possession.
That's possession, and I'll say that I think it's a really good film because I think it really makes you look inward and kind of analyze your own life as well. and maybe either be happy that you don't have a messed up situation like the characters in this film and the director did, or also maybe you did and you can find something to relate to that. No matter how you feel about it, though, I think everybody should watch this movie, especially for Halloween.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be an emotional Halloween.
Yeah, for real.
All right. Are we ready to take an ad break?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
We don't have to.
All right. We're back from the ad break, and we have some new releases to cover. We're covering 2 movies that are really gross, but also very erotic at the same time, I guess is the best way of putting it. So I guess Fulton can lead the pack and tell us about his viewing of Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
I also got Many Saints in Newark, and I could do that one really quickly.
All erotic.
Yeah,
that one is, if you find, well, I was gonna say if you find Tony Soprano erotic, then, but this isn't, this is Tony Soprano Jr. It's not the daddy.
A minor.
Yeah.
A minor.
So it would be very weird if I said that. So, but without further ado, Many Saints in Newark. If you're a big Sopranos fan, I think there's a lot that you can really get out of this. It is a prequel, but I do think it can stand on its own. I think there's really only one key part of the film that you might not really understand if you hadn't, if you didn't know what happens in The Sopranos, but it's like a late end series kind of thing. So if you've already had that certain thing spoiled for you, I think you're fine to watch the film, but I don't think it I don't think it necessarily requires you to watch Sopranos to watch it, but I think you would get more out of the film if you had. But I think the acting all around is really, really great. My only gripe with the acting is that at first I thought Ray Liotta was really, really awkward. He plays twins in this movie.
No.
So the first guy he plays, I thought it was very weird and kind of awkward, but it kind of grew on me. And I have no qualms with him playing the twin. I thought he did a really, really good job. And I can say with with good certainty that I think James Gandolfini would be very, very proud of his son, Michael Gandolfini, for kind of continuing the legacy of Tony Soprano. It almost kind of made me cry because I was like, I think he did very, very good. I don't know. It just kind of made me happy to see him playing that role. I think his dad would be very proud of him. I don't think I have too much to say other than that. I think you should just I really want to talk to more people about it, but not too many people have seen it that I know. So please watch this. If you haven't watched The Sopranos, watch The Sopranos. It's great. Without further ado, I'll get to Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Well, I was just gonna say one thing about how it's always kind of been downhill for HBO films since Entourage came out in 2015. Did you think this was better than Entourage, though?
Well, the biggest kicker is I never got to see Entourage, the movie, in theaters. So huge disservice to that film. They're maybe in two different lanes, Chris, unfortunately, as I hate to say it.
Well, if there's a lane that I want to be in, it's behind Vinny E. Turtle and Johnny
smelling
Drama.
Weed, getting the whiff of weed and chicks and everything. I understand.
We're gonna do an Entourage episode soon.
It's gonna come. Me and you have talked about it for too long not to do it at this point. Which I know all our diehard fans are really just sitting around on their thumbs waiting.
It's time.
Entourage 1 week, then Sex in the City.
Can I Can I come on for that week again?
Were you a Sex in the City enjoyer, Olivia?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna say yeah.
Aren't they making a new movie?
Another one, Sex in
I
the
think
City
it's
3?
I thought it was a show. Like they're
Oh, maybe it's a
revamping the
show. Oh, okay.
without Kim Cattrall.
Wouldn't it be cool if it
Oh,
was
okay.
I know that Sex in the City 2 already came out, but if it was called Two Sex, Two City.
That's one of my favorite naming conventions from Fast and the Furious, and I kind of hate that it hasn't gone into other franchises.
Yeah, exactly. So
two
Venom,
two Carnage. That would have been cool. Two Carnage for Venom. That would have been cool. So Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
They really fucked up that title. They should have gone with that.
I know, it's so disappointing. With Venom, Let There Be Carnage, I guess I should just go ahead and say when I first saw Venom, the first one, I was kind of lukewarm towards it. I can understand why people wouldn't like it, but I can also understand why people would kind of champion behind it. Because I do think it is a very kind of like funny idea. And I think for the second one, it definitely like continues to build off of like the first one. So it kind of expands the relationship between Venom and Eddie Brock, which is like it's they just have such a weird like relationship, and it's the oddest like buddy cop or buddy investigator movie that I think you will probably see in quite some time. So I don't want to spoil it too much.
How was Woody Harrelson?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I heard Woody Harrelson is pretty funny. Unfortunately, as I hate to say, they did change his wig. So if you've seen the post credit or not, was it a post?
Yeah, it was the post credit scene in Venom 1.
Yeah, his wig looks terrible.
Yeah, it looks like they literally
so
just
funny.
went to the store, like they went to like Spirit and they picked out a wig for like $8, and they said,
red, right?
No, it's not. Well,
he has red hair, but it's like. But unfortunately, it didn't have the Scream/Halloween effect where it became iconic. It just looked really, really bad. But so I guess Andy Serkis was one of the things he wanted to correct when coming to it.
And good for him.
Yeah, good for him. I'm happy for him.
I'm happy that Andy Serkis really wanted to direct Venom, Let There Be Carnage too.
I don't think there's an end to him kind of helming the series either. It definitely seems like he's very, very involved, and I think it is kind of a franchise that would work well with kind of what he's all about, like special effects and everything.
Yeah. This is news to me that he directed this.
Yeah.
I'm in shock right now.
I think he directed another movie.
Does Venom give top?
I wish, Chris. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything. That's like the main. Like, I really want to talk to you about it because I think Chris. I think you'd very much enjoy this film. If you're a big fan of the first Venom, then this film is easily like right up there.
Oh yeah, I bet. I'm excited to go to the cinema and watch it.
Yeah,
because I still will never live down the fact that I had the opportunity to go see Venom, but my friend talked me out of it because he said it wasn't that good. And then I watched it with some friends at home when it came out a few months later, and I just was blown
and you had
away.
to hide a boner, and he's like, excuse me for a moment.
Yeah, exactly. I had my legs crossed the whole time.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, no, I think that's the best thing I can say about it. If you like the original, you'll probably like this one. It's a very fun time. The special effects, I think, are campy in a way that kind of, play to what the strengths of the film are. Like I wasn't expecting like these. Well, with Andy Serkis, I think you do kind of expect like the visual effects to be amazing due to like his mocap studio and everything that he's done with special effects in the past. And I will say that maybe the CG isn't up to those standards, but I mean, when the film is mainly, I can understand why it would look a little bit more dodgy due to how much CGI that they have to do for these movies.
Like you said, it's camp.
Yeah, and I
It's-
mean Tom Hardy eats in this film. He's great. Uh yeah, I don't know. He's so special. I don't know why. I don't know. I wish I was seeing him do more. I feel like there was a moment where everyone had Tom Hardy fever, and I don't think we're out of that moment, but he's maybe being more selective with the roles that he's taking on, and especially with Venom, he's more hands-on than just being an actor. He's writing and producing and helming it, and
And he
but
was busy with Peaky Blinders stuff too.
in
oh
it.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But all good grace don't end
Well,
yet.
I
'Cause
mean,
we have Morbius coming.
Speaking of Sam Neill, Peaky Blinders in it.
Ooh.
Uh,
But I'm excited for the future of Sony's dark MCU adjacent
Dark Marvel.
universe. And Chris, we'll have to talk about the post-credit scene when you see
Okay.
it, but no
All right.
spoilers. So
so I watched Palme d'Or winner Titane this weekend, which is Julia Ducournau's latest film. She directed Raw a few years ago. I was a fan of that. I thought that was a quite inventive film. And this similarly is even more gross than that movie. I always thought that movie was kind of a bit overstated with how disgusting it was. Raw, that is. But Titane definitely does not disappoint. It's part body horror, part dark comedy, part commentary on gender performity and gender issues. There's just a lot going on there. I really don't want to spoil much because I don't want to do it a disservice, but I will say that if you're not very squeamish, I think that you should definitely seek this one out. Like, I would never recommend this to like my parents or plenty of people. But if you like art cinema, then you're definitely going to have to go see it because it did win the Palm.
you're talking about Venom, right?
Oh,
okay. All right.
Venom, Let There Be
That's what I
Carnage.
thought.
But like also it does really make you think after it's like at the beginning too, like if you have pierced nipples, you may be even more squeamish is what I'm
It's
gonna
a
say.
thinker, this film.
It's a real
I cannot
thinker.
watch it.
I picked the wrong week to pierce my nipples.
I just got it done. Damn.
So yeah, it's great. The two leads I think are really good. Vincent Linden and Agatha Roussel. Vincent Linden's really funny. He was also in La Haine back in the 90s. But yeah, it just makes you want to squeal and squirm. And yeah, I think Old was my most shocking movie this year, but this definitely took its place. So and yeah, I guess that's all of our recent releases this week. But I guess we can move on to our top 3 that we watched this
Yes.
week. So just anything that y'all want to talk about that you watched this week that you think is noteworthy, feel free.
I watched Labyrinth, and I was wondering, like, oh, all these puppets. Why am I enjoying this? It's so odd. It's cringy. I'm like,
Jim Henson.
No, you know why you're enjoying it. David Bowie. David
That
Bowie
is
in tight leggings, singing like a seductive Goblin King. It's quite entertaining.
They had an exhibit at the. Have you gone to the Atlanta Puppet Museum?
I have it.
Oh, you got to go there. They have Jim Henson was like the person that started it. It's like one of the few puppet museums in America, and they have a large Jim Henson collection of Sesame Street things. When I was there, I believe they had a Dark Crystal exhibit and Labyrinth stuff too, and
in
Muppets.
our own city.
But I have not seen Labyrinth actually. I watched about a quarter of it one time, and I remember there was a pretty awesome musical number at the beginning that was really catchy.
It's just it's a little too longer than it should be, but
Yeah.
it is fun. And then I watched Blue Velvet for the first time.
Let's go.
Perhaps
Uh-huh.
Blue Ribbon. Yeah.
Which it's like the first Lynch film I ever watched was Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me without ever having watched Twin Peaks. And how you're talking about, like, if you've never seen The Sopranos, and some people might go see it,
Mm-hmm.
The Many Saints of Newark, without seeing The Sopranos. So shit like this has been done before.
Many
Yeah,
Saints
I
of
was
Newark.
gonna say that I think that comparison kind of came up into my mind because it is a prequel film as well. Fire Walk with Me, I think it can really stand on its own. But
I've only seen Fire Walk with Me too, Olivia. I understand.
I know. I've tried to beat the devil in his ear to watch Twin Peaks, and I gotta pick up my slack on Sopranos. But with Twin Peaks, it's so good. Blue Velvet is also a very good.
But I enjoyed all the performances in that film.
Mhm.
And you know, the main song is quite catchy.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very catchy.
I think Isabella Rossellini gives a real hell of a performance too.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And Kyle MacLachlan hangs dong in it too. So there's that as well. So I was not expecting
Blue
to see
Velvet.
that.
Kyle MacLachlan hangs dong. But I'm pretty sure I know what your number one is, though.
My number one is Bob Fosse's All That Jazz.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That movie rules.
The movie hangs dong.
Bob Fosse or Roy Scheider hangs dong. No, he does not, unfortunately. But he's eaten. The boy is eaten. He's just like he does these like smirks in the movie where he just like turns and he's like, "Oh, did I accidentally have sex with one of my dancers? Did I do that?" And then they're like, "Aw, Bob Fosse."
Yeah,
I mean, sorry, that's not his name, but it really is just Bob Fosse.
Gideon. But the opening scene, the auditions, it was absolutely spot on and realistic. Because I watched an interview of Fosse saying how he wanted to show what it really is like, because there's other depictions in film that's just not how it really is. But you're all piled together, like he said, a cattle call, and you have to learn all these moves, and they scream at you if you mark it, like when you're not going full out. But if you go full out, you're like eating each other's feet because you're kicking each other. It's a mess. But I loved the opening number. Incredible.
With On Broadway, yeah.
Yes.
And I mean the final number I think is even better though. The 10-minute Bye Bye Love reworking, or Bye Bye Life by the Everly Brothers, but just done in such a unique way, just really well choreographed. And then I think Roy Scheider really sings really well, knocks it out of the park, and the other guy that he's singing with, that I can't remember his name, but yeah.
And it's just freaky that years later, he died of a heart attack after having one and having open heart surgery. And it was the opening night of his revival of Sweet Charity in DC that he just collapsed and passed away, it's very odd and freaky and sad.
He knew, like Yukio Mishima, that he would die. He predicted his death. And I mean, it's very similar to, when you watch it, you can draw a lot of parallels to 8.5. I think it's pretty good. Pretty much goes without saying that was an inspiration to this film. But just
and like people call it self-indulgent, which I understand, but him like depicting himself in a realistic way and how he's got a lot of issues, I think is pretty out there to do that.
Yeah, it's not like he really props himself up as this like beacon of gratitude, and is just like this, all around stand-up guy.
Can I say one last thing about it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
But it's just like, it's so legendary for a person who came from the dance world as a dancer, choreographer, to make it huge mainstream, because dancers and choreographers never usually reach the same levels of fame and acclaim as like musicians, songwriters, actors, directors. So
Yeah.
for him to just be so widely recognized, and like he has his own style of dance, it's just called Fosse. And in the dance world, if you don't know that, you're at the wrong dance studio. And I don't know, he's a legend. I love him.
Yeah, he really crossed over, was able to make 5 films, and
They're good.
they're good. Yeah, like Star 80.
That's my only Fosse film that I've seen, but I want to see more.
Well,
Cabaret.
in all that jazz takes place when he's like editing. It's not Lenny Bruce in the film, it's this other comedian, but when he was making that Lenny Bruce biopic, Lenny, with Dustin Hoffman, that's like a big one. I haven't. No, they're missing 2, that one and then Sweet Charity, the Shirley MacLaine one, but I've seen Cabaret, All That Jazz, and Star 80.
And I love Lenny Bruce and his story, so I need to check that out.
Yeah, me too.
I'm sure Dustin Hoffman does great too.
Well, I guess I'll just kind of go quick and say my 3. Number 1 was All That Jazz, which I already covered. So then number 2 was Agnes Varda's documentary Murs, which is about mural paintings in Los Angeles. It works kind of like an essay film where Varda went to Los Angeles and just interviewed a bunch of people that painted these murals, and there's just a bunch of different cultures. There's she interviews African Americans, a lot of people in the Latino community, and they all have these interesting stories. And it kind of talks about how murals are this piece of like communal art that anybody can look at and anybody can collaborate on it, how it kind of binds a community together. And a lot of these are just very impressive spectacles that I'm very happy that Varda was able to grant exposure to and provide such beautiful cinematography to accompany them, because I would not be surprised if a lot of these murals are no longer there because of new building developments and whatnot in the subsequent 40 years that film was made. So that one's really good. And finally, I will talk about my rewatch of the Grand Budapest Hotel. I hadn't seen it since I was 14 and saw it in the cinema. Wow. And I really enjoyed it. I think it's a lovely buddy caper film. I tried to act like I was above Wes Anderson, but this movie really just charmed my pants off. I won't.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
Charmed your pants off.
Charmed my socks off.
His pants came off while watching. I wonder.
Misuse of language. They came right off.
He loves Ralph Fiennes a lot.
Ralph Fiennes is great in that movie. Yeah, but I loved just seeing all the, and I'd already seen it before, so I knew who was in the movie, but I still loved all the small little cameos of people that show up in minor roles. Like, what?
Do you have a favorite cameo from it?
Oh, definitely the Owen Wilson appearance. Oh, no. Harvey Keitel.
Yeah.
Because he's like the prison. He's like in the prison and he's like shirtless and he's
so
like,
good.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that could be Wes Anderson's best movie, I will say. I'll probably rewatch Rushmore this week.
Rushmore might be my favorite.
Yeah, I would say that it's a tie between those two. But yeah, those are my 3. It was kind of a busy week though, so I didn't get to watch a whole lot. But there were a lot of good things still.
I am slowly getting excited for French Dispatch. We don't have too much longer. It's like a month or something. Yeah. My three, so I didn't have a lot of time because I was a little busy this week, but these are no particular order, just in the way I kind of want to talk about it. But I rewatched Scary Movie, which I still find it funny, but there are a few things that are really dated in it that are kind of just problematic of where some of those comedies were, I guess, willing to make fun of back in the day. But besides those like dated scenes, I still find the movie to be pretty funny. And I don't remember why, but this was like for certain people as a kid, there were always those movies and those films that you just really wanted to watch, but you knew like you weren't supposed to.
Mhm.
So it was like Family Guy in this for me as a kid. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna stay up late and watch Family Guy on Cartoon Network. I can't tell you how many times I asked my uncle if I could borrow this DVD from him because I thought it was hilarious as a kid for some reason. I don't really know why as a kid I found it so funny. But I will say the one bit that has always stayed with me and I still find to be like just so funny is the "What's Up" scene, or just "Hi Ghostface Killer" in general. I find that to be hilarious for some reason.
What about
And,
what about the scene at the beginning where the guy like bursts, you know that part?
wait, what was it?
The bed part where like, you know what I'm talking about in the first Scary Movie?
Bursts.
I think I know the scene that you're trying to talk about.
And he
but
just
you're
like
trying to talk
covers the
about it
walls in
delicately.
his
Yes.
yeah.
That scene, and I also love the Blair Witch riff where the lady has like the camera under her, but she has like a snot bubble that's like keeps popping in her nose. I thought that was very funny. But the other rewatch I watched, I rewatched the 2018 Halloween in preparation for Halloween Kills because I'm very excited for it. And I don't think I was ecstatic about the movie on this rewatch because I think this might be like the third time I've seen it. Maybe I still very much enjoy it, and I still think it might be my favorite depiction. Because I have I've seen Halloween, the original, and the Rob Zombie one. I've seen Halloween 2 and Halloween 3, and this one. So that's where like kind of how much of the Halloween franchise I have seen. And in the same way as the Rob Zombie movie, Michael Myers is really like a force to be, reckoned with. He's gigantic. He looks very muscly. He looks very scary just based off of like looks, which I think it's just a preference thing for me. Because in the original, in the original Halloween movie, he looks okay. He looks okay. In Halloween 2, he looks a little dinky. To me, but in the Rob Zombie one and the new David Gordon Green one, he looks very physically intimidating. And I love the way that all of his kind of murder scenes are shot. They're very, very uncomfortable and brutal. And I just really, really like his reintroduction into becoming Michael Myers again. I think is a real standout scene, probably my favorite, maybe. And then also at the end, which is something I hadn't really picked up on in my original 2 viewings. And I don't know how, but it's a complete inversion of the original Halloween, where instead of Michael chasing Laurie Strode is now chasing Michael Myers, and it's like almost shot for shot remake of that sequence, but inverse. And I think that's really interesting. And I've been trying to stay away from the damn Halloween Kills trailer, but going to the cinema and the pandemic, they tend to show a lot of the trailers again. So I unfortunately know the plot of the Halloween Kills, and I wish I didn't, because I actually do like the kind of plot that they're going to do with the second one. It seems very interesting.
Oh, I don't know anything about it. Yeah, that's.
Oh, I won't say anything because I'm very excited, and I think it would be cooler if I didn't want to know anything, but I haven't been able to stay away from it. And the last movie I watched was Casablanca, which is my first time ever seeing it. I've never seen it before. Kind of a
hidden gem.
Yeah, I would say so. I would have to agree. I don't really think I have anything to really add to this movie that hasn't already been said. I think it is critically acclaimed for a reason. And I think it does kind of live up to the kind of I think I agree with what everyone has to say. I don't have anything to
Your
disagree with.
opinion is special, Fulton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, for real. It's but the one thing I want to point out, and maybe you guys might be able to help me out with it. I do not remember where I heard this. But I remember reading it somewhere that well, actually, did Humphrey Bogart ever get a disease from his smoking?
Yeah, he died of lung cancer.
Okay. I believe that is why this kind of makes sense, but apparently his breath was really, really bad, and Ingrid Bergman hated doing the kissing scenes. And so throughout the whole movie, I couldn't stop thinking about whether his breath probably smelled bad in certain scenes. That was in the back of my brain.
Wow.
That's unfortunately but I really want to watch more movies with Humphrey Bogart. Probably The Maltese Falcon is next. But yeah, no, it was a pretty slow week for my movie watching.
Yeah, and kisses in films back then, they would like suck each other's whole face off.
Yeah,
So
it's
that must have
very
been-
weird.
Yeah, they're always like full embrace, like just eating each
Yeah.
other. So it must
Like
have been
push
horrible.
pushed as close as they possibly can.
The drama.
Yeah, it's more dramatic. I agree. Yeah, but this film's great. Yeah, okay. Oh, next week's film will be George A. Romero's Martin. So we're continuing our Halloween programming. It's from 1977. What is it on? I don't know where you can stream it, but but yeah.
You're letting
So
us down here.
I know. I checked Letterboxd and it just says Amazon, so that's not very helpful. But yeah. So next week's film is Martin, and then the week after that we will be like we said earlier. I was hoping to do it the first of every month, but this one is kind of lagged behind. But we're doing another Discord Decides, which is basically where our audience gets to pick what movie we watch. So be on the lookout for when we do that. So it'll be the week after the next. So go ahead and start thinking of films to submit. And
Yeah, have a
Yes.
great rest of your week, and thank you for joining us again, Olivia.
yeah, thank you.
I'm just elated. This was wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Everyone stay safe
Yeah,
and
stay wavy.
have a good one.
All right, bye-bye.
My name is Martin. I'm 84 years old. People think I'm crazy when I tell them how old I am. I'd like to be normal. I just have a sickness. The only way I can survive is by drinking blood. It's not easy living the way I do. I have to be careful all the time. But I'm pretty good at it. I think as I get older, I get better. I haven't been caught yet.
Martin, another kind of terror.
You see, people don't understand what's wrong. They think that I'm a monster. They think I'm a vampire. People don't realize that those things I see in the movies are not real. I don't have a whole lot of women. It's nice to watch them. I watch them a lot all the time. I have to be sure that nothing goes wrong. I follow them. I plan. I'm very careful. I have needles now. I can use them. I can put them to sleep. And it doesn't hurt.
Martin, another kind of terror.
I would like to be like everyone else. I have to do things that I don't necessarily like to do it, but I want to stay alive. I do need blood.
From the director of Night of the Living Dead, Martin, another kind of terror.